Hello everyone, I'm excited to welcome you to our presentation for today. We're Group 3 with 9 members: April Tapiador, Armina Labado, Cristina Bahar, Cyril Aguilar, Cutimi Eustaquio, Timuel Francisco, Romel Marcelino, Trixie Ngonyon, and last but not the least, Seymour Bagais. We're eager to share our insights on the demand of labor.
Good day everyone, I'm Cyril Jean Aguilar and our group will be discussing the demand for labor. But before we proceed with the discussion, let us know first what are the desired learning outcomes. So at the end of the lesson or at the end of this video presentation, we are expected to identify labor that are in demand nowadays, assess the labor market in the country, describe labor in the country, identify the need of labor in the country, and state what is the law of diminishing marginal returns and marginal product of labor. Now let's define demand for labor. The demand for labor is an economics principle derived from the demand for a firm's output. That is, if demand for a firm's output increases, the firm will demand more labor, thus hiring more staff. And if demand for the firm's output of goods and services decreases, in turn, it will require less labor and its demand for labor will fall, and less staff will be retained. So basically, the demand for labor is a derived demand, which means it is ultimately based on demand for the product that labor makes. If consumers want more of a particular good or service na in-offer ng isang firm, then yung firm na yon is mag-hire ng mas maraming workers na gagawa ng goods or services para ma-meet yung demand for product. So, kapag mataas ang demand ng goods or services na in-offer ng isang firm, then mag-i-increase din yung quantity ng workers. The firm will hire more staff members. However, kapag nag-decrease naman yung demand for labor, then magde-decrease din yung quantity ng workers. So, let's say na hindi naman in demand yung goods or services na in-offer ng isang firm, syempre konti lang yung workers na kailangan nilang i-hire para gumawa ng goods or services na ipoproduce nila. To understand more the demand for labor, let's have this example. The demand for nurses is determined by the demand for healthcare services. So it means kapag tumaas yung demand ng healthcare services, then tataas din yung demand for nurses. So syempre kapag maraming mga healthcare services yung kailangan gawin or maraming in-offer na healthcare services yung isang hospital, then kailangan nila mag-hire ng mas maraming nurses para ma-provide yung mga services na yun. Para magawa yung mga services nila ng mas mabilis and mas maayos. On the other hand, kapag nag-decrease yung demand for healthcare services, then magde-decrease din yung demand for workers. Magde-decrease yung demand for nurses. Magre-reduce yung hospital ng mga nurses na i-hire nila to do the particular healthcare service.
Let's now call on Romel Marcelino for breaking down demand for labor.
I'm Romel B. Marcelino and ang i-discuss ko po ngayon ang breaking down the demand for labor. Sabi po dito, ang demand for labor ay isang concept na dinidescribe yung dami ng mga laborers or workers na nais kunin o i-hire ng isang company or economy sa isang particular na oras. Yung gantong demand daw po is hindi pang matagalan kasi nakadepende daw ito dun sa sahod na kayang ibigay or handang bayaran ng isang economy or company para dun sa mga laborers at gaano namang karami yung mga laborers na magtitake dun sa trabaho na yun sa ganong sweldo. For example, meron kang malaking restaurant and during lunch rush, need mo ng tagaluto and taga-serve ng pagkain para ma-handle yung dami ng mga customer na dumadating dun sa inyo. And you are willing to pay a good wages para makuha yung mga labor na yon. And may 3 tao na gusto mag-work sa'yo, then yung demand for labor mo is yung 3 tao na yon. And suddenly, may 2 pang gusto mag-work sa'yo dahil dun sa ino-offer mong sahod. And then yung demand for labor mo is mag-i-increase. It's about how much you are willing to pay for that labor and how many labor want to work for you sa ganong sweldo. Next po, a profit maximizing entity will command additional unit of labor according to the marginal decision rule. Ibig pong sabihin, kung yung pag-produce or pag-hire ng isang labor is mag-a-add dun sa total revenue nito sa isang company kaysa dun sa pag-a-add nito sa gastos. So, ang gagawin ng mga economy or company is mag-hire ng mga labors hanggang sa point na yung revenue na nakukuha nila is tumataas dahil sa pag-hire ng mga labor. Mas mataas kaysa dun sa gastos para dun sa mga labors na yon. Ito ay tinatawag nilang Marginal Product of Labor or MPL. For example, let's say may isang pizza restaurant and nag-hire sila ng isang chef and yung chef na yun is nakakapag-generate ng more revenue kaysa dun sa binibigay na sahod sa kanya. And ang gagawin ng pizza restaurant is mag-hire pa sila ng maraming chef tsaka lang sila mag-i-stop sa pag-hire ng chef kung yung kinikita nila is hindi na kayang i-cover yung gastos na pinapasahod dun sa bawat chef na hinahire nila.
Next topic will be Other Considerations and Demand for Labor by Cristina Bahar.
Hello everyone, my name is Maria Cristina Bahar. Discuss about the other consideration of the demand for the labor. According to the law of diminishing marginal returns, based on this law, sa karamihan sektor, kalaunan ay mababa ang MPL. Pati sa batas na ito, bilang mga unit ng isang input ay idinaragdag kasama ang lahat ng iba pang mga input na pinapanatiling pare-pareho. Ang isang punto ay umaabot kung saan ang resulta ay mga karagdagan sa output ay magsisimulang bumaba at ang marginal product ay madedecline. Another consideration in marginal revenue product of labor or MRPL, which is the change in revenue that result from employing another units of labor, holding all other inputs constant. Ito ay maaaring gamitin upang matukoy ang pinakamainam na bilang ng mga manggagawang papasukan ng isang partikular na antas ng sahod sa pamilihan. Ayon sa ekonomiya theory, ang profit maximum first ay kukuha sa mga manggagawa hanggang sa punto kung saan ang marginal ang produkto ng kita ay katumbas ng sahod dahil hindi ito mahusay para sa isang kumpanya na magbabayad ng mga manggagawa nito ay higit pa sa kinikita nito mula sa kanilang paggawa.
This one, common reason for a shift in labor demand that we'll discuss by Jimmo Francisco.
And good day everyone, I'm Jimel Joves Francisco and I'm here to discuss the common reasons for a shift in labor demand. So, ano nga ba yung mga bagay na nakakaapekto pagdating sa pagtaas or pagbaba ng demand ng labor? So, una is changes in the marginal productivity of labor, such as technological advances brought on by computers. So, yun sabi, kapag nagkakaroon nga ng technological advances, syempre naapektuhan na ito yung productivity ng mga workers. Mas napapadali yung trabaho nila and mas madami yung napoproduce nilang output kumpara sa dati nilang trabaho. So by that, syempre mas mag-generate sila ng income or ng revenue, and yun nga, dahil doon sa mas mataas yung revenue, pwedeng mag seek ng expansion yung company, and doon nga papasok yung demand for labor. Syempre mas tataas yung demand for labor. So though minsan kabaligtaran yung nagiging epekto ng pagkakaroon ng advanced technology, like for example yung sobrang advanced ng technology, kaya niya nang palitan yung tao or yung labor. So by that, syempre pag ganun ka-advance yung technology, mas bababa yung demand for labor. So yun. Next po is changes in the prices of other factors of production, including shifts in the relative prices of labor and capital stock. So yun sabi, yung pagkakaroon niya ng pagbabago sa presyo or price ng capital stocks, such as yung mga machineries or yung mga robots na kayang palitan or kayang palitan niya yung nagagawa ng isang tao. nagkakaroon ito ng epekto sa pagtaas o pagbaba ng demand ng labor. So, syempre, as a company, mag-i-stick ka do sa mas makakamura ka. So, kung mas, syempre, bumaba yung presyo mas mababa yung presyo ng mga machineries, syempre, bababa din yung demand pagdating sa labor. So, kabaligtaran naman, pag mataas yung presyo ng mga machineries, syempre, mas pipiliin ng mga company yung labor. So yung last po is changes in the price of an entity's output, usually from an entity charging more for their product or service. So yun nga, yung pagkakaroon ng pagbabago pagdating sa price ng mismong product or service is syempre may direct effect sa profitability or sa revenue ng isang firm. So kapag nagbo-boom nga yung isang business, ang tendency mag-expand sila ng business. So doon nga papasok yung pangangailangan nila ng mga bagong tauhan or ng mga bagong or ng labor. So kabaliktaran naman, kapag nagde-decline yung sales ng isang business, which is napipilitan silang babaan yung presyo ng mga product or service nila, yun, syempre magka-cut loss sila or magbabawas sila ng mga tauhan din. So yun lang po.
Next topic is marginal product of labor that will discuss by Trixie Ongonyon.
The marginal product of labor or MPL measures the additional output or production that results from employing one more unit of labor while keeping other inputs constant. Tumutulong ang marginal product of labor sa pag-a-analyze kung paano yung naging changes sa isang workforce and kung paano ito naka-apekto sa overall productivity. And nakakatulong din ito sa pag-assess ng impact of increasing and decreasing ng workforce on overall productivity.
Next up is marginal product of labor revenue that will discuss by April Tapiador and Zymer Bagais.
The marginal product of labor revenue. To put it simply, the marginal revenue product of labors refers to the increase in revenue that comes with the hiring of an additional worker while keeping all others variable constant. This is calculated by multiplying the marginal product of labor and marginal revenue of output, which help determine the ideal numbers of workers to employ based on the market wage rate. A profitable firm will only hire enough workers where the marginal revenue product is the same as the wage rate, as paying workers more than what they can earn from their labor is efficient.
So, to further elaborate about the lesson for today, about the marginal revenue, I will be giving you a real-life application and analysis of this topic. So, suppose that hypothetically there is this bakery where the marginal product of labor is being analyzed. So, marginal product of labor, or what we're going to put as MPL, would be suppose the bakery employs 3 bakers, or what we're going to put as L, to produce cakes. The total output, which we're going to put as Q of cakes, is given by the production function. Q is equals to 5L, or the number of bakers, minus 0.1 L squared. So the marginal product of labor, MPL, it is the derivative of the production function with respect to labor. So it would become like MPL is equals to derivative of the Q, which is the total output, over derivative of L, which is the number of employees, or the bakers itself, is equals to 5 minus 0.2 L. So how about the revenue? So we all know that the revenue is the generated income by selling each cake, which is given by the price, or what we're going to put as P, multiplied by the quantity Q of cakes sold. So revenue is equals to P multiplied by Q. So let's just assume that the price per cake
would be 10 pesos. So mini cakes. So how are we going to do this? So if the bakery is currently having 3 bakers only, so L would be 3, then MPL would become like this: 5 minus 0.2 multiplied by 3. Just trying to go back to our MPL earlier if you are trying to comprehend where this formula came from. So it would result into 4.4. So this means that adding one more baker increases the output by 4.4 cakes. So the more the bakers the bakery have, so the output is increasing. So if MPL is greater than 0, then each additional baker contributes positively to the total output, indicating that hiring more would increase productivity. But if MPL is equals to 0, the bakery is experiencing diminishing returns of labor, and adding more bakers won't increase output. So even though if they add bakers on the bakery, then the result won't change. But if the MPL is less than 0, hiring additional bakers is counterproductive, and the bakery might experience negative returns due to overcrowding or inefficiencies. So it's like you're hiring more people, but the production rate is going slower than usual. So your company would either go bankrupt or you're going to have some loans on the bank. So if MPL multiplied by P is greater than 0, then hiring an additional baker not only increases the output but also positively impacts the revenue. But if MPL multiplied by P is equals to 0, the bakery is at an optimal level of labor where additional hiring won't change revenue. If MPL multiplied by P is less than 0, the bakery may need to reconsider its staffing levels, as the additional labor might be causing a decline in revenue. So in short, this real-life application helps the bakery make informed decisions about labor utilization based on the marginal product of labor and its impact on revenue.
Next up is Deriving the Labor Demand Curve by Armin Alabado.
The basic idea behind the labor demand curve is that as the price of labor increases, the firm will demand less of it because it becomes more expensive, and conversely, as the price of labor decreases, the firm will demand more of it because it becomes more affordable. This is due to the fact that labor is productive factor of production that helps firms generate outputs and profits. Firms want to hire the minimum amount of labor need to meet their production goals while keeping costs as low as possible. To derive the labor demand curve, one can use simple mathematical formula that takes into account the relationship between the price of labor and the amount of labor demand. This formula is commonly known as a labor demand equation, and this is our formula. DQ represents the quantity of labor demand by the firm. PW represent the wage rate for labor. A and B are constants that depend on the specific circumstances of the firm, such as its level of production, the price of the other production factors, and the demand for the firm's output. By solving this equation for different values of the wage rate, one can obtain a graph that shows the relationship between the price of labor and the quantity of labor demand. This graph is the labor demand curve. The labor demand curve is one of the most important concepts in microeconomics, as it helps us understand how firms respond to change in the price of labor and how changes in the labor market can affect the level of employment and output.
I am the next reporter, Kitimin Eustachios. The topic I will discuss to you is the marginal product of labor, or MPL, and shifting the demand of labor. So in the given definition of MPL, it is a additional output gained by employing one more worker. So to dig it down and to understand it more, base sa visual na inyong nakikita, ang kurba ng demand para sa trabaho ay parang roadmap yan ng kumpanya kung gaano karaming empleyado ang i-hire nila depende sa presyo ng sahod at kita na maaari may dulot ng bawat manggagawa. So, sinasabi sa atin ng kurba kung gaano karaming manggagawa ang kukunin ng kumpanya hanggang sa maging pantay na ang gastos at kita mula sa bawat empleyado. Ngayon, kapag sinabi nating marginal revenue product of labor or MRPL, ito ay parang kita na may dudulot ng bawat dagdag na manggagawa. Halimbawa, kung ang isang manggagawa ay kumikita ng $24 sa bawat oras dahil sa kanyang trabaho, ayun ang MRPL. Ngayon, gagawin ng kumpanya, ang pinakamataas na kita kapag ang rate ng sahod ay katumbas ng MRPL. Ang market demand curve naman ay nagpapakita ng kabuuang demand ng lahat ng kumpanya para sa manggagawa. Ngayon, kapag dumarami ang mga manggagawa sa isang kumpanya, bumababa ang halaga ng bawat karagdagang manggagawa na hinahire ng mga kumpanya. Ito ang tinatawag na Marginal Product of Labor or MPL. Ang pinakamababang dami ng manggagawa na maaaring kunin ng kumpanya ay kung saan pareho lang ang halaga ng sahod or real wage rate sa halaga ng MPL. Sa kabilang banda, ang bahagi ng kurba na bumababa ay nagpapakita kung ilang manggagawa ang kukunin ng kumpanya sa bawat presyo. At ito ay tinatawag nating demand for labor. Ang market demand curve naman ay ang kabuuang dami ng manggagawa sa kinakailangan ng lahat ng kumpanya. Ang shifting the demand for labor naman ay nangangahulugang nagbabago kung gaano karaming manggagawa ang kailangan ng isang kumpanya. At may tatlong pangunahing dahilan para rito. Una dyan ay ang changes to the marginal productivity of labor. Ano nga bang ibig sabihin yan? Kung umuunlad ang teknolohiya at mas pinadali nito ang trabaho ng mga manggagawa, tulad ng paggamit ng computer sa ilang trabaho, tataas ang demand para sa trabaho. Ito ay nangangahulugang gusto ng mga kumpanya na mag-hire ng mas maraming manggagawa sa mas mataas na sahod dahil bawat manggagawa ay mas produktibo. Ikalawa naman ay ang the prices of other factors of production. Ito naman ay ang kung tumaas ang presyo ng mga makina o iba pang gamit ng kumpanya, maaring gusto nilang mag-hire ng mas maraming manggagawa. Ito ay nangyayari kapag mas gusto ng kumpanya na gamitin ang mas maraming manggagawa kung mas mura ito kaysa sa iba pang mga gamit. At panghuli ay ang the price of the firm's output. Ito naman ay ang kapag tumaas ang presyo ng produkto ng kumpanya, tataas din ang demand para sa trabaho. Yan, ito ay dahil mas kikita ang kumpanya at handa silang mag-hire ng mas maraming manggagawa sa mas mataas na sahod. So that concludes our report for today. Thank you all for your attention and engagement throughout our presentation. We sincerely hope that you gain a better understanding of the topic and have taken away valuable insights from our discussion. If you have any questions or thoughts, we welcome them. Thank you once again for being a part of this presentation. Have a great day.